Sources say the Carolina Panthers are moving all the way from number 9 to the number 1 overall selection. Any quarterback they want. Could it be Bryce Young from Alabama? Could it be C.J. Stroud from Ohio State? So Chicago adds a massive, massive draft haul and a top receiver.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the biggest storylines of the offseason, one of the biggest questions that we had of the entire offseason has finally been resolved. As a huge trade has officially been made that is going to have ramifications on each and every team in the entire NFL, especially if you're a team that happens to be in need of a quarterback. So before we get to the content, we have a lot of videos coming to you guys today. We have a huge Aaron Rodgers update coming to you guys after this. So make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. Now that we got all that out of the way, break! So I've made almost $5,000 playing this game over the past couple months and posting my picks and selections onto my Instagram story for you guys to follow them. And the game that I'm obviously talking about is Prize Picks. Right now, when you use my promo code Mikerophone, they'll match up to $100 of your initial deposit with another $100. And it's been a lot of fun. I mean, yesterday I had Killian Hayes getting less than 21 points, rebounds, and assists. You went into the third quarter with 18, and he finished the game with 20.5. I can't tell you how euphoric that feeling was when I saw that I was able to make $210 off of a pick that came within 0.5 of not hitting. So if you want to check out Prize Picks, make sure you use my promo code Microphone for a free 100% deposit match up to $100. And follow me on Instagram if you want to follow my picks on Instagram. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Man, this is my favorite time of the year. We just got a crazy report about what Aaron Rodgers' future is going to look like. We're going to bring you a video on that very, very soon, possibly a double upload day on a Friday. Anytime we get official trade news, that's going to take precedent over any other information. So for those of you guys that forgot, towards the end of this season, it looked very likely that the Houston Texans were going to get the number 1 overall pick in this year's NFL draft. The head coach of the Houston Texans at that time is one of the most storied Chicago Bears coaches of all time, Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith was able to win his final game with the Houston Texans, and the Chicago Bears were able to lose out to get the number 1 overall pick. And this caused a very interesting narrative. You see, the Chicago Bears already had a franchise cornerstone quarterback. They nailed their selection of Justin Fields in the 2021 NFL draft. They sent a nice little postcard to the New York Jets and the San Francisco 49ers for passing on Justin Fields. But once they got the number 1 overall pick, a brand new narrative formed. There was some speculation that the Chicago Bears may be willing to trade Justin Fields and draft Bryce Young and start all over again with a brand new rookie scale quarterback. That didn't really make a lot of sense to us, at least. The more reasonable thing to do in this situation would be to trade that number 1 overall pick. Trade down as far as you can, especially considering the fact that the best wide receiver that Justin Fields had this year was Chase Claypool, that you gave up a 2nd round pick for, which isn't really looking like a great move, but it was worth a shot. So clearly the Chicago Bears had a lot of holes on their team. Quarterback was resolved, but Justin Fields was running for his life behind that offensive line this year. Didn't really have a defense to support him, but of course the Chicago Bears traded Khalil Mack last offseason, and they traded Roquan Smith in the middle of this season. So really, what did you expect at this point? Justin Fields had no one to throw the football to, and yet he looked relatively solid as the starting QB for the Chicago Bears. So clearly, you don't want to move away from Justin Fields, especially when you consider his size and his style of play to Bryce Young. It's a little uncomfortable to go from a guy that's 6'3" and plays the way Justin Fields does to one of the skinnier and smaller players in the entire NFL, which is what Bryce Young would be. For all you know, Bryce Young could be a star, but I can understand the Chicago Bears wanting to move forward with Justin Fields as opposed to taking a gigantic risk with Bryce Young, because if you traded Justin Fields, got a bunch of picks for Justin Fields, and then drafted Bryce Young and Bryce Young becomes a bust, you're fired. I'm sorry, Ryan Poles, but you're officially fired. So what did the Chicago Bears decide to do? They decided to take the safe route that would keep Ryan Poles' job, and they decided to trade down from the number 1 pick. Originally, you would think that the Las Vegas Vegas Raiders would trade up for the number 1 pick. Or hell, maybe even the Indianapolis Colts, or maybe even the Houston Texans. They really want that first pick, make sure they could get their quarterback of the future. No, it was a team that was the least suspecting of getting the number 1 overall pick, with a head coach that probably said,
I don't give a damn what we gotta do. We're definitely getting a franchise QB in this draft. I am not going through a cycle of veteran QBs again.
And that's Frank Reich. And ultimately, that seems to be what ended up happening, because the trade compensation in this deal is absolutely insane, and we got to give credit to the Chicago Bears general manager for pulling this off. So, first reported by the great Ian Rappaport, who, by the way, didn't feel so good about himself earlier today on the Pat McAfee show, didn't feel as much confidence about his abilities as an insider, probably because he was worried that maybe Adam Schefter would beat him to the punch in terms of delivering this news. Looks like he was able to get this news out first. According to Ian Rappaport, there's a major draft shakeup. Sources say that the Chicago Bears are trading the number 1 overall pick to the Panthers in exchange for big-time compensation, including multiple first-rounders. Chicago loads up and lands at number 9, while Carolina can draft its QB of the future. So the compensation since has come out, and it's absolutely amazing in terms of what the Chicago Bears were able to get. So as time went on, Ian Rappaport gave us the full terms of the trade, and the compensation's insane. The Chicago Bears are receiving a number 9 pick in this year's draft, a second-round pick in this year's draft, a first-round pick in 2024, a second in 2025, and something that's very unique about this trade is that the Chicago Bears also get DJ Moore. So the Chicago Bears get Justin Fields, a true number 1 wide receiver. They get the 9th pick in this year's draft, which is significantly better positioning for a team with their needs. They also get an additional second-round pick in this year's draft, which they could use considering the fact that they gave up a second-round pick to get Chase Claypool to begin with. And then next year, they get the Carolina Panthers' first pick and a second in 2025, in addition to DJ Moore. So let's break this down, man. First of all, this is fantastic value for the Chicago Bears. I mean, getting Justin Fields, a wide receiver, 1, in addition to acquiring a number 1 pick in this year's draft and next year's draft, and also a second-round pick in this year's draft, is just fantastic. Your team is completely depleted. You need as many draft picks as you can. You need as many darts to throw at the dartboard as humanly possible at this point. Now, Ian Rappaport clears up why did they decide to do this trade now? Well, the Chicago Bears reportedly wanted DJ Moore, and to know that they had him before free agency, and they do now, meaning that if they didn't get DJ Moore now, they probably would have pursued other wide receivers in free agency. For the Carolina Panthers, I'm not going to hate on them for this decision. DJ Moore was a fantastic wide receiver for them, but unfortunately, it seemed like his greatness was consistently contributing to pretty below average Carolina Panthers teams. And it seems like they have been in quarterback purgatory for the longest, ever since Cam Newton left for the first time. And then after Cam Newton left for the first time, they decided to bring in Sam Darnold. After Sam Darnold didn't work out, they tried to bring in Baker Mayfield. There was a point where they brought back Cam Newton as well, obviously not in this particular order. I feel like it's the combination of a team that was in quarterback purgatory, that was sick and tired of being in quarterback purgatory, and a head coach that lost his job because he was in quarterback purgatory with the Indianapolis Colts, that contributed to this decision being made and contributed to the Carolina Panthers deciding that, hey, we need to make a trade. We need to start out the Frank Reich era properly and set this man up for success. I don't think they gave up too much. I think what they gave up made a lot of sense. You're giving up your first round this year, a second next year, and a first in 2024. It's obviously not ideal to give up that many picks. I could understand giving up DJ Moore in this instance because maybe you want to draft a brand new wide receiver to pair with the new quarterback that you're going to select with the number 1 overall pick. But also bear in mind that the Carolina Panthers made a trade in the middle of the season this past season to replenish some of their draft picks that they lost when they traded for Sam Darnold. Remember, they traded Christian McCaffrey to the San Francisco 49ers in exchange for a 2023 second round pick, a third round pick, and a fourth round pick, and hell, even a 2024 fourth round pick. So I definitely think it is a steep price to pay, but I can understand why they paid it. It's not like what the Cleveland Browns had to give up for Deshaun Watson. Yeah, there's a chance that the top quarterback in this year's NFL draft doesn't end up being the best quarterback out of this year's NFL draft, but they do have the ability to scout and look for the best fit with Frank Reich. Whenever Frank Reich has had stability at the quarterback position, primarily the year he had Andrew Luck, it seemed like he was able to make magic happen. And it seems like he's going to get the right quarterback to build his team around. And ultimately, I think that's worth it for the Panthers. I think this is a win-win for both sides. I love the value that the Chicago Bears got. I love how this sets up Justin Fields for the future. I love how the Chicago Bears have a ton of salary cap space and that they were able to acquire a 26-year-old wide receiver 1 that has 3 1,000+ yard receiving seasons under his belt. And now it seems like the favorite to go number 1 overall in this year's NFL draft is going to be Bryce Young. It's not necessarily etched in stone. That's what speculation is leading towards. So maybe Frank Reich is in love with Bryce Young. Maybe it's a different quarterback. Maybe he's in love with CJ Stroud. Maybe he's in love with Anthony Richardson, who just had a remarkable combine, or Will Levis. I don't really think it's going to be Anthony Richardson because he has some developing to do. But let me know in the comment section down below. Who do you think is the quarterback that the Chicago Bears are targeting? Also, let me know what you think in the comment section down below about this trade and who won this trade. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.